Good evening, everyone. This will be quick because I cut in front of the students. I promised them it would be under 10 minutes. So I'm joined here this evening with our colleagues from KPMG. I guess I'm doing auditing. It's been a long day. KG&D, along with our facilities director, Dave Spittle. So in the past, we spoke about the work of the Facilities Planning Committee, and now we've reached the point where the project is going to be recommended to the Board of Education. So we switched it from the committee to what the project overview is going to be. This slide captures a majority of the work that is expected to happen. I know it's a little hard to see, but this is really our one-page poster that'll be going out into the community that really encapsulates everything that we expect to accomplish in the project. So while we've talked about many of these things, I just want to take a quick opportunity to summarize them, and then I'll show you some of the renderings, maybe some new ones you haven't seen. And our plan is for the next board meeting is to ask the board to pass a resolution to allow us to move forward, set the dates for the referendum, and everything else that goes included. So as we spoke about, we're looking to renovate the elementary school library or our student learning commons to make it a more modern space. That's the picture located on the top left there. As well as a playground being installed. This playground is specific to primary age students aged K through 2, as well as meeting the needs of some of our special education students. So while the picture on the upper right is not the exact playground we've committed to, it's an example of something that we think we would consider. So it's actually a local playground in the area that we want to try to mimic some of those same things. And the big piece at the elementary school is the installation of the geothermal wells. So currently about 33% of that building is runoff geothermal. Our plan is to transition the entirety of the building over to heating and cooling with the geothermal wells, very similar to what we have here at the middle school, high school campus, and that would eliminate our dependence on heating oil. The last piece of the elementary school is the renovation of the nurses suite. So that's sort of the drawing there in the middle. And what this will do is create a larger space, a more defined space for our nursing suite, introduce more fresh air, isolation space, storage, and some of the things that they have been looking for anybody who has not been in there recently. The beds are the same beds that were in there when I was in school. The wall has been wallpapered and painted 27 times if we start pulling it back to layers, and it's a space that's desperately in need of a facelift, and that's what we hope to accomplish. At the middle school, much of our work is exterior, focusing on the parking lots. So for anyone who's been to the high school and they see the sidewalks, the grass, the trees, the lights, none of that exists once you cross over into the middle school. And we think that we could create a much safer, welcoming space, as well as one that's more fitting for the flow of traffic that we need on campus. So our plan is to mirror the traffic flow in front of the high school through the middle school, mirror some of the lighting and the sidewalks to create a safe pedestrian pathways, as well as lighting for anyone in the parking lot there. And that drawing is represented on the bottom right. We're also looking to do some instructional spaces at the middle school, although a majority of this work will likely be done with district funds, looking to really revamp the all room upstairs, making that small group instruction space and offices, which would free up instructional spaces on the outside of the building. And we've also earmarked money for performing arts center upgrades. Specifically, we're looking at lighting and controls. Good. At the high school, most of the work focuses again in the parking lot, replacement of the retaining wall that we know is failing, ripping up the old pavement and putting down new pavement and improve drainage. We're also looking to improve accessibility. The courtyard, which was redesigned several years ago, is not necessarily conducive for students with disabilities or other students who have mobility concerns. And so we're looking to replace the pea stone that's there with pavers to make it accessible to all students. We're also looking to install a solar panel on the Wellness Center to generate electricity, and looking to replace the flat roofs above the instructional wings. For a few years ago, we replaced the curved roofs, which were deemed to be the most pressing issue, but now it's come time to replace those flat roofs, which are approaching 25 years of useful life. And the last piece, the last picture there in the middle on the right, is something that we've added. We've heard several times from the high school regarding concerns for or needs for a dance studio for IB dance class. We haven't been able to identify a space up until now. So now our plan is to, figures, the way this day is going, what's gonna happen? If we lose power, I'm out of here. So we're looking to renovate our current weight room and turn our weight room into a weight room / dance studio. So that rendering there in the middle represents what our new modern weight room would look like, along with a dedicated space for both floor exercise as well as our dance students being able to use it. So I know we spoke, I just want to leave this in here for anyone who looks. On several occasions, we spoke about the makeup of the District Facilities Planning Committee, how it was created, some of the committee work that was done in the committee members. So this is really just there for reference. We spoke about the parking lot and the retaining walls, pictures that represent the damage to those. There's sort of a zoomed in picture of what the new campus will look like once complete. New paving, sidewalks, additional parking in some locations, and better traffic flow. We spoke about the turf track and fencing. Now this work will begin this summer. This is not money that we're looking to borrow. We'll use district funds to complete this work. But I did want to provide an update. This is one of the renderings that we're considering, or one of the rendering of a design that we're considering, which is really a blue track with gray transition zones. We've also looked at the possibility of having an all blue track. And you'll notice the green, extra green behind the valley. That's currently a track surface, and we're exploring the possibility to turn that into turf service. And really, it's a huge space. It looks small in the picture, but if you walk out there, that's a huge space, and it can almost be a secondary practice space for us to utilize. So we're going to, at least right now, we're in the exploration phase to determine whether or not that's feasible within our budget. We spoke about the geothermal and the boilers. The three main things here is our high school boiler is nearing end of life, and we have replacement costs upwards of $1 million. Geothermal will eliminate our dependence on oil for heating, as well as we hope to get money back from the Inflation Reduction Act. And obviously, we would love to be a green school. We recently applied to be a green ribbon school, so we hope to achieve that as well. Nursing suite and library, we spoke a little bit about that. Here's some more of the renderings, what we anticipate those spaces looking like. So this is library from 4 different angles. Nurses suite that we saw earlier, and that's the rendering of what, now we've already made some changes to this space, but this is sort of our first conceptual drawings as to what we hope the new nurse's office will look like. Some additional work we spoke about, flat roofs at the high school, drainage work, weight room, dance studio, our elementary school playground. So here's a zoomed in view of something similar to what we hope to install behind the elementary school. And then there's another picture of that weight room dance studio with the bar in front of the mirrors, the hardwood floor for tap, as without infringing on the equipment that's necessary, both cardio and weightlifting equipment that's in that space. Some of the finances, we estimate the project costing approximately $14 million. Of that $14 million, the current projection is to get $9.2 million back in state aid. That's just off that base number. 66.3% is our current building aid number. And our plan is to use approximately $2.5 million of our capital reserves. So that's money we've put away over the last several years for projects just like this. And our non-negotiable remains that there'll be a 0% increase to taxpayers. I spoke a little bit earlier about how the project will be broken up into 2 phases. Phase 1 begins in May of this year. Turf, track, and fencing, supported with district funds. No vote is necessary. No impact on taxpayers. It's money that the district already has. Phase 2 is the larger piece of the work. We anticipate a vote in the winter of '25, a bid awarding in the winter of '26, and for the work to begin the summer of '26. Spanning 2 summers, both the summer of '26 and the summer of '27, before reaching our completion date. And a quick reminder as to why now. The district benefits from having a stable debt service, so as we have debt retiring, we're looking to replace it with this debt. It allows us to maintain our buildings without having fluctuations in expenses or without having to deal with maintenance costs that build over time. This is aligned with what's on our long-range facilities plan. where it helps control escalation of utility costs. So as the price of oil continues to fluctuate, always going up, that our dependence on that will be eliminated. New York State Building Aid, well, I said before, 66, that $9.2 million we will currently get back from the state. That's something that's up every year during the budget process, and it's always a point of contention and something that could very easily go away in the future. So we want to make sure that we're getting our project in well. We're getting 66% of that money back. Again, that's our current number. It'll change. Construction costs and cost of materials only continue to rise. The longer we wait, the more expensive these things get. Again, it's tax neutral. We'll be replacing existing debt without costing the taxpayers any additional money. And by maintaining our debt service, it allows us to maintain a stable tax levy. So we're not forced to seek a supermajority just to simply maintain our buildings and provide instruction to our services, to our students. And that's my quick run through. So any questions for myself or KG&D
If you
or
could
Dave?
just reinforce again the fact that there is no impact on the taxpayers because an existing debt that we're paying is just going to continue at the same level when we do this project. If you could just elaborate on that,
Right.
so
So
that the public understands.
2027, we have debt from previous projects that are falling off. Our plan is the same thing we did last time we had a project. Our plan is to replace that debt with new debt. So while there's no savings going back to the community, there's no additional costs going back to the community. What we hear time and time again, it's districts that have this deferred maintenance. You keep pushing it off, pushing it off, pushing it off, and then all of a sudden you need a $100 million bond. You can't issue a bond of that size, certainly not in a district our size, without significantly increasing taxes. So our goal remains to reinvest debt when the opportunity presents itself, so our buildings stay well maintained and we don't run into sort of that financial cliff situation where we're asking taxpayers to pass a bond that's going to increase their taxes 5, 6, 7%, like whatever it could be. So the model's worked in the past. It's financially sound. It's something that we continue to look out. Like, so we knew in our 2018 project, when that was voted on,
Right.
that 27 was the next opportunity we had. So this work started a couple of years ago, still with an eye on 2027, when we know it can be done without increasing taxes.
And again, this is just maintenance and repair. We're not building another building or anything like that. It is fixing what has over 25 years started to, like our homes, need a new roof, you need new parking lot, whatever.
Right. It's unlike our last project. It's very infrastructure driven. Geothermal, roofing, parking lots, retaining walls, paving. Yes, there's a few instructional spaces, library, nurse's office. We want to make sure that we're touching. There's something for athletics in the weight room. There's something for the cultural arts in the Performing Arts Center upgrades. We want to make sure that we're touching all of our constituent groups, but the vast majority of this is really in infrastructure work. Yes.
I know you were asking Yorktown. You had spoken to them about the solar and the risk that it was having on the water and the thing. I know you touched on it a while ago, but just a reminder, as I don't really remember what came up with that.
So Dave and I toured the site with the Yorktown engineer and someone else from his department. They pointed out all of the mitigation factors they've put in since the last time it's flooded onto our campus. You can't make this up, but I don't think it's really rained since then. I think that when it flooded our campus was legitimately the last time we had substantial rain. So while I remain somewhat pessimistic that it's going to work the way they plan, they did point out all of the different measures they've put in place to try to prevent that from happening in the future. So we're unfortunately in sort of a wait and see phase. Until we get 4 inches of rain over 2 hours, we're not really going to know how well all those things work.
Exactly.
If it is determined by you or whomever that the mitigating circumstances have failed, will you seek additional monetary gains from Yorktown to help with this infrastructure project?
Yeah, I mean, if that happens, it would really be a determination made by the Board of Education, because it would likely be in the form of litigation. So we would get advice from our attorneys, but it would likely be a decision whether or not we want to sue to ensure that the district property is not being impacted by what's happening next door. We've exhausted all sort of political hand-reaching olive branch type proposals. As you can see out there now, as atrocious as it looks, the solar panels are going up, like the frames are there, so it's not like they're changing their plan now.
No.
So it's sort of a wait and see if it ever rains again, and then we'll see how well their mitigation strategies have worked.
Thank you.
Crystal, do you have any questions for him?
Good?
Anybody have any questions for Walter? He came here.
Well, these projects look super promising, and one of the things that I love is that this work is not only being focused on what we have to do to ensure that our buildings are safe and running well, and also conserving energy in the future, but that we're also really putting our resources behind the instruction of our students, right? We are married to the IB program. You know, we have these IB classes, but those types of classes in the particular areas where we offer them require resources for our students to really get that hands-on learning. Without a dance studio, we can't do that, right? I also very much appreciate the thoughtfulness that has gone into making sure that every building gets a little something. We know the middle school got a lot of updates in the last project, and so, you know, this is more focused on high school and elementary, as it should be right now, but it's really nice to see that our kids are going to play in a beautiful playground. It's really nice to see that our weight room for our athletes is going to be top class, that our dancers now have a space to practice in, that our kids will be safe on that field, right? And I think that's really important. Not only will they be safe, but they'll be playing on a beautiful space that we are already looking at to be able to see how we can reutilize the space to fit more team practices on it, right? We also know that track is something that the community uses, and so we're also able to provide that for the community. And so I think that all of these projects coming together with a zero increase in taxes to taxpayers is absolutely incredible. And I know that the planning work for this began well over a year ago, and that there were quite a few people on that team. I wanted to join, unfortunately I wasn't able to, but there were over 20 people when we started this particular project to just get input from the community. So those people who came out to have their voices heard about what they felt the district needed to do in this project, thank you for your time, because it was the voices of everyone that really came up with these ideas. And those who really stuck through that process for over a year now, who have met consistently every few months to kind of really figure out what would be in the best interest of our community and our students, thank you. I know that this was very thoughtfully done, and I'm excited to see the future of Putnam Valley with these projects coming through.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. In addition to that, I also want to say, sitting in the meetings, I want to thank the facility committee because the ideas that they provided, they provided a lot of these ideas going into the project, prioritizing the projects, as well as all the deep discussions that they had. And thank you for the architects for being there to always answer the questions that they have and listen to our community. Along with that, I'm very happy to see the accessible space for the special needs children. Love that idea.
Yeah.
And a couple of questions. The 66.3% building aid, is that locked in, or is that changing every year?
Changes every year. You
Okay.
can see even here I have to update this slide because last time we did it, it was 67%. So it's
Okay.
fluctuated. The last project in 2018, I think we were 63%. So it fluctuates within that 60 range for us. Obviously, needier districts get more affluent districts get less. But I can't speak for sure what that will be, but we're pretty consistent in the same range. And we use a financial planner who projects out all of these things, and it's always sort of the most conservative approach. One of the questions we get, and I've been working on updating our FAQ document, is unlike you hear about public works projects, right? This was going to cost $20 billion, and it cost $200 billion by the time they were done, right? That kind of stuff happens all the time. That's not a possibility for schools, right?
Right.
If it's a $20 million project, we could spend $20 million If it's 20 million and $10, we have to cut $10 out, right? That's how it works. There is no cost overruns. So through the work of our architects, through the work of the construction manager, through the work of our financial advisor, everybody's looking at those numbers from every angle regarding what are possible escalation costs in materials, what's possible escalation cost in construction, what's possible interest rates or tariffs we dealt with for the wellness center. So all of those things are considered when we come up with this number that we believe, that we know can stay tax neutral.
Thank you.
Good.
We know we can communicate to our school district. How are we communicating to the Putnam Valley community?
Yeah, we make ourselves available to any organization that would welcome us in. I know we've done the fire department in the past. We've done the senior center many years ago. We're willing to do the roadshow. We have a community forum that's planned for December 12th right now, so that's a month after the board. We hope the board will accept the resolution to move forward with the project. That'll give opportunity for us to get out our FAQ document. We have a 5 fast facts document. We're going to look to produce a video similar to what we did last time. We want to get this information out in as many different mediums as possible to as many different people as possible to ensure that every voter has the information they need to make an informed decision come January 28th, 25, which is our current projected vote date.
Okay. And speaking of vote date, my last question, or comment. We know there's been comments from a couple of people at the Facilities Committee. Why are we not putting this to vote in May? And I know the answer, but I want you to say the answer again.
Sure. You want to talk a little bit about that? The timeline, why it is? So essentially, Walt has more detail as to what each of those phases are, but we have to vote in the winter in order to meet a summer of 26 start date. When you look at the design timeline, the state approval timeline, all the bid timeline, all of those things, we work backwards from our start date and determine when we need to vote. And that's ultimately what makes that decision.
Yep.
Sorry. That's it? You good? You could just
Thank
stand next to me.
It's good.
I like you.
Moral
I like your
support.
barber.
Anything we forgot to ask? For the architect, anything
anything
you
forgot
want
to
to?
ask? I want to hear you. Walk in.
Oh, I mean, I think Jeremy did such a great job, the superintendent did such a great job presenting. I'm going to take him with me now for the rest of the week. Yeah, the schedule is a little tricky, right? School construction is difficult because we really only have 8 weeks to do most of the work in a good summer. And getting the project designed and through SED takes a little bit of time. And we really want to be prepared to hit summer of 26 running so that we can get this work done on time. And it's critically important to finish on time so that you can borrow and backfill your debt at the appropriate year. It's 2027, right? So that's when we need to finalize borrowing and wrap the project up. So to start it on time, we need to look at January.
Thank you. Did you have another question?
No.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.